a thought leader in HR, a lot of people approach me and say, John, I want to be more strategic. So being strategic or having a strategic impact means that it's a big picture. It's beyond one function. So if you just do recruiting, you can't be strategic. You have to impact business goals, so not HR goals, but sales, revenue, stock price. It has to be multi-year, so it can't just be 1 year. It's got to be impact over several years. And last, it's got to be external. It's got to also have an impact on the environment, on the competitor, something that shows that not just an internal action, but it has external impacts. So if you want to be strategic, first of all, what does it take? So I find it doesn't take brilliance or a whole lot of book learning or education. It takes courage or just balls. Is that you can't be afraid, if you want to be strategic, to ruffle some feathers. So if you're Steve Jobs at Apple, a computer company, and you walk in and say, let's do iPod, let's do music, people are going to laugh at you, going to criticize you. And that's the definition of strategic, is half the people in the room laugh. So I'm sure Columbus, when he said, damn, let's go to America, most of the sea captains laughed and said, no, you're going to go 2 miles and sink. So you got to have courage, expect people to laugh at you. That is the very definition of innovation. Next, the people in HR are probably part of the problem. So no offense, but they're probably not competitive. They're certainly not risk takers. So Business Week did an analysis of all business levels and said, who are the most risk takers, which turned out to be salespeople or product development. Who are the least risk takers? HR, lawyers, and accountants. So we're in that range of people that tend not to be strategic, not risk takers. If I wanted to be strategic, I would study strategic HR functions or companies. On my list, it's Google, it's Microsoft, it's Zappos, it's, say, Netflix. So for example, most companies are very administrative, very tactical. They have a policy on absenteeism, policy on vacation. Netflix is pretty simple. They have no absenteeism tracking, no vacation policy. You work when you want, you take off when you want, you're paid primarily for performance, so you figure out when you have to be there, but there's no vacation tracking. That would be strategic, that would be different, that would make you a hero. Trust me, people that say take all the time you want are heroes. You need to solve business problems, so most of us do recruiting, retention, but a business problem is sales, a business problem is customer satisfaction, product development, first to market. So if you're going to be strategic, you have to show your impact. And most HR people use the term align with business problems or business goals. It's a horrible word. What you really need to say is no. Anyone who looks at what you're doing, your actions, see they contribute to solving the problem. So there's a direct line between what you do and the solving of the business problem. Most organizations are not exceptional because they don't do best practice sharing. If I can only do one thing in HR, it would be best practice sharing. In a large organization, there are probably wonderful things going on, but they're in silos and people don't share them because they'll be afraid that it'll affect their performance or other people will stop them. So if you just did nothing else but put a wiki together or put a practice where you could share best practices, then problems would be solved faster and people would start doing it the best way quicker. Metrics, you always need metrics to improve. You have to, if you're going to be strategic, you got to have metrics. You have to aim high. So when strategic means a major quantum leap. If you're trying to improve 3%, you're not strategic. Strategic is 20%, 25%, maybe 50%. So you have to aim high, otherwise you're not strategic. The best practice company has to be Microsoft, so I am critical of Microsoft. Microsoft has, people have egos. They said for years they were great at HR, they really had no evidence, but in the last 5 years they really have transformed. They have moved from what was okay to truly exceptional. So for example, they give a 3-year budget to recruiting. So instead of up and down cycles that traumatize HR departments, they say, no, we're going to give you a 3-year budget so you won't suffer through it. They didn't allow blogs, now they allow blogs. Their talent community approach, using talent communities to over time sway people, build relationships to convince them to want to work for Microsoft is incredible. So they have gone from what I would consider average to strategic in a very short period of time and would be a great role model to follow. They have some great things in workforce planning and metrics, and they have made that transformation.